say when there are no words? Feel a song that's never been heard. How do you know when you hear the call? What do you do when you've done it all? Cannonball, 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 cannonball. It's not what you do, it's how you do. Be anything you want to be. It's not what you got, it's how you use it. You be you and I'll be me, it's just a matter of style. You can't fake it, mile after mile, feeling free. If you got the soul, you can make it. Move 'em out, let 'em roll, from sea to shining sea. Ball, cannonball. What do you do when the mountain is there? How do you answer the challenging day? And when your back's against the wall, what do you do when you've done it all? Cannonball, 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 cannonball. It's not what you do, it's how you do. Be anything you want to be. It's not what you got, it's how you use it. You be you and I'll be me, it's just a matter of style. You can't fake it, mile after mile, feeling free. If you got the soul, you can make it. Move 'em out, let 'em roll, from sea to shining sea.
Yes, indeed. Good afternoon, morning, ladies and gentlemen, mothers, fathers, daughters, sons, brothers and sisters. This is the AOR Hype Energy F1 2017 Season 15 Round Number 2 here at Baku in Azerbaijan. My name is King-Kodiak and I'll be one of your commentators throughout this evening's race. Joining me in the commentary box once again is the Lord of the Airwaves, Mr. Hamish Sopwith.
Yes, good evening, everyone. Welcome. Round 3 Azerbaijan. Marcel Kiefer's already came out, well, has came out of pits. First of all, he's going to be the first driver to set a lap, and that's good for him. It means he has the clear air, and he's one of the quickest drivers on the grid. He's just coming through turn 19 now. It's a 2.2 kilometer back straight we have here.
We have lost. Yep, looks like we're having a restart. No soon.
Lost Max.
Yeah, it looks like we've got a host migration. So yep, that is definitely going to cause a restart. Well, that was brief.
It was brief, but it does give the drivers a little extra time to prepare for the qualifying session. As you've already seen, we only have 15 people in the session. Whether that number will increase, that would be nice. Maybe a couple more drivers will be able to join. But 15 is certainly not a bad number to start with.
Absolutely, and what an incredible race we have seen. So races. So beg your pardon. It's we've had Melbourne and China, and we've had some decent racing going on so far already. And let's hope some more. So you have to excuse me as I ping through the menus myself to get back to where we should be. For those wondering why we have restarted, it is because it would seem that our host had a bit of a problem, so sadly we
desync apparently.
It was a bit of a it's desync. That would be why. If any driver disconnects before a single lap is set, then the qualifying is restarted. And so I just... apparently that one doesn't exist. Let's try that one. There we go. No, that one doesn't exist either. Oh, I'm having trouble with my session invites now. Let's see if we can find one. No. Are you in the session, Hamish?
Well, I haven't received a new invite yet.
That must have been spare.
I don't think it's been set up.
Yeah, so it must have been there were spare invites from the last session.
Yeah, I've got about 10.
all for nothing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well,
but, we will get back into a session very soon.
Yes, so apologies for the technical hiccup here. Yeah, exactly as Hamish earlier mentioned, I've just seen confirmation as well that there was desync going on. So it is indeed going to be restarted. So whilst we are looking at that, let us go through the championship standings after rounds 1 and 2. Oh, was that an invite coming in? Yes, it was. So I'll just jump in, and I've got a spare one already. No, I'm still having trouble here.
Oh, let me send you a King-Kodiak.
Oh, might I have life? Might I have life? Oh, yes, there we go. We're now getting invites by the plenty. Hopefully you'll be able to join. There we go. So we're just getting our drivers back on board. Hopefully we'll have a few more. We did have 15, which still gives us some decent racing, let's be fair. But we did have a full grid last time out. So we are hoping to replicate the same. So, what I'm going to do...
I think it was full in Australia as well. We had 3 DNFs in Australia, but I'm pretty sure we had a full 20. So
we did, yeah. We had indeed for the last 2 rounds for China as well. We had 4 DNFs last time out. So what I'm going to do is just very quickly bring up where we currently stand in the championship, and there it is. So Brendan Lee, after first and second, leads the way by 3 points over Formula Danny, our current championship leader, with Timp in third. 33 points. He's only, to be fair, he's only 10 points down from the lead. Then Donoso scoring considerably more points than he did all of last season. He's in fourth. Non-runner 5. Aresi 6th. So Aresi, of course, a stalwart of the PS4 side. He is didn't have a good run first time out. Slammed into the wall pretty hard in Melbourne, but a decent 4th place last time out. Sees him in 6th. Photon, F2 champion from last season. Good first showing, but disastrous last time out. Sees himself in 7th with Marcel Kiefer 8, Max 9, and Graham Carroll rounding out the top 10.
Yes, sorry, but I just had a bit of a message on the F1 game. Yeah, so it'd be interesting. You're mentioning non-run and P5. That's not bad at all. He was obviously one of the drivers in, I think it was season 12, correct me if I'm wrong, Kodiak, who beat Turano Tigger in that dominant season he had. So I expect he's going to be a very strong round here. And also Aresi is another driver I'm really looking forward to seeing if he can improve on his P4 from last time out.
Indeed. So as you can see on the screen, we're heading back down server side. I doubt it's going to cause too much weather problems. I highly doubt we would. That's hazy. That's not rain, at least. So 12 minutes of qualifying them, as is standard in our leagues. It's just everyone looks like they're going to start on the super soft tyres. So who have we got with us today? We have Wycons, we have Non-Runner, we have Carre. I was incorrectly pronouncing it as Carex last time out. It's Carre. In third, Aresi 4, Steve 5, Velocity Danny. In 6th, Marcel Kiefer 7. Jan Vader 8, as I'm reading them in the list as opposed to in what position they're actually in. So we now start to see cars streaming out. Carl Hamilton 9, Fabrizio Donoso in 10s, Sam Lebert rather in 11th, 3P Max 12, Brendan Lee, our current championship leader and of course esports champion 13, Timp or Tino Norkarinen in 14th, and a Velocity Photon at the bottom of the list, but I'm sure not going to stay there for long.
Yeah, so Sam Lebert has actually came out first of a pit, so he is going to have the luxury of a clear track ahead of him. Last year's pole was 139.5. Now, we've seen how much that has improved in the first 2 rounds. In fact, in China, I think it was upwards of about 7/10 of a second.
It was, wasn't it just? It was like a massive difference that we saw.
Yeah, bearing in mind, season 14... That was Danny setting the pole time, and he was one of the best drivers in the world then, and he still is now. So I wonder if we're going to see a 138 being broken today. That would be quite incredible.
Had a momentary technical hiccup there. That's why you saw the pause menu popped up there. I do apologise for that. So, whilst Sam LeBert is our first man out, you can see there's absolutely no one in front or aft. He's left those behind him. So he has got, at least he has the luxury of not having to worry about anybody directly behind him. As he will now head through the last twisty bits to start his lap. Let us ride on board then with the Toro Rosso as he will start his lap. The long straight before they slam on the anchors pretty hard heading into turn 1. The real F1 drivers were hitting in excess of 315 kilometers down there, but into turn 1 he goes in. A little bit of a lock up on the inside, not too bad. Right, heavy on the brakes once again, and once again locking up in the Toro Rosso. Round turn 2, DRS open. Was actually they actually had a DRS failure for in the real F1 this weekend as well. It's a bit of a spoiler for those who haven't actually seen the race. Turn 3. Over to the left-hand side to throw it into turn 4. A little bit of a tail wiggle there, but kept nicely under control. Now the quick left, right, 5 and 6. Nice and tidy, kept away from the barriers. This is where the next set of F1 esports races will be taking place. So this, of course, serves a bit of a practice run for me as well. Round 7, now the 8 through to 12. Such a tight series of corners. So many times we've seen people come a cropper there and lose a wheel on that uphill section. Now start to descend down the hill through the fast left-hander of 13, 14 and 15. Down through to third gear. Just catches the apex then. Down to turn 16. Easy to wander too wide and invalidate your lap. Sam keeps it nice and under control. The yellow flag's out already. Oh no, we've lost Wycombs. Oh goodness me. Well, Sam is going to finish his lap. Let us see where. That
crashed.
Can't really tell where. He's staring.
Russell section, I think.
Ah, so it'll be turn 7. Yeah, that's where he's done that. Yeah. Oh, exactly as I was saying. Is we've seen people come a cropper, and already it's happened to Wycombs. What a shame. But that's 138. Oh, turn.
Saying that, non-runner's just hit it. Is his wheel still on the car? I'm not entirely sure. Sorry to interrupt you there, Kodiak.
A non-runner's still going.
Non-runner.
Oh, massive bit of front wing missing. Yes, huge bit of front wing missing.
He hit it big time. He hit the inside of turn 8, 9, 10 and 11. They all are sort of one weird
section, yeah. VP Steve has got the current pole time 139.8, and Sam LeBert was 139.9. So a pretty decent show for him. Velocity Photon 139.869. So very little separating the top few at the moment. Just 31 thousandths between first and second at present. Timp has got his name on the board. Along with, and there is Denoso with another 39.8. Here we go again. A lot of drivers in the within a tenth of one another, is exactly as we've seen the last couple of runs. 5 thousandths of a second is Denoso ahead of Steve. I know these tend to be the banker laps, but goodness me, that is very, very tight indeed.
Yeah, I'm on board with Formula Danny, and he's really pushing. He set one lap, he wasn't pleased with it. He's now on another on the super soft compound tyres, as all these drivers will be. We have the super softs, the softs, and the medium tyres with us today. So no ultra softs, which I think will be a first time. Can't remember if we had the ultras in China or not. Coming round turn 16 is Formula Danny. He is coming towards to complete his lap. Flat out. For those of you who are more for the imperial measurements, it's about 212 miles an hour. So Danny's got the DRS wide open, coming across a line. Not brilliant actually. It's slow. It's a 39.8. Well, actually,
you say it's slow.
Well, yeah, it's not overly quick. I was expecting him to be a little bit quicker. I thought Denoso was in the 138. So wow, look at that.
Now Brendan Lee shown up. But even still, to be fair, Brendan Lee hasn't blown the field away as much as some people might expect. That's at 39.7, so that's Still very, very close to Denoso, Steve, Photon, and Formula Danny. Again, they are only less than 1.5 tenths off that pole lap at the moment. Still time for that to change. 5.5 minutes, just under to go.
Strangely, it's actually, we're not seeing times as fast as last season, which is very strange.
That's what I was wondering.
And it might be because of the nature of the track. The track itself it is very, very difficult, but it's difficult for a couple of reasons. Braking zone to turn 16, that's so difficult. That's in the same sort of difficulty levels as turn 9 in Bahrain. And you've got turn 8 through to 12, which is so technical, which Brendan Lee's there now, and every time a driver goes past, you can't help but wince because they are that close. The walls are, you know, margins away from the drivers. It's like Monaco, but at triple speed. So there are a lot of difficult sections to the track, which might be why we aren't seeing the times as ultra fast as we were. I think we're going to see a few crashes come the second, well, for their second laps. So they're the full-on turn the engine up to the max. It looks like most drivers are in the pits now. We have got a Merc and Red Bull coming out as we speak, though.
Photon is on his outlap at the moment. Non-Runner and Jan Fader still have yet to set a time. Oh, no sooner do I say that, Non-Runner has decided to come out. There he is. One of the Haas drivers directly behind him. And Carl Hamilton has come back out on the field. The Williams then looking to try and improve on the 140.8, and even that's only, what, 1.1 seconds off the top. So again, we're looking at a pretty compact field here. I'm starting to see lots of drivers now coming out to have another crack at improving their position. There is Carey in the Ferrari, 8th with that 140.0.
I was just going to say, the top 9 are within 4 tenths, and then you've got a bit of a gap down to Resi of about 4 tenths of a second for Marcel, that is. But just remember, guys, I mean, this track is 6 kilometres long. I mean, the fact that these drivers can be this close over 6 kilometres is absolutely insane. I mean, the distance from Brendan Lee and Donoso, if you were to measure it in metres, is we're talking 1 or 2 metres at the most. We're not talking much at all. So it is pretty insane, must be said. I wonder if Non-Runner is going to be able to pull something out the bag, because he's definitely got some good speed. He's coming across the start. Well, he's on the start-finish straight now to start his first, not necessarily final. We have seen the likes of Brendan Lee. He did a double run. So did Formula Danny. He also did a double run. It is I'm pretty sure it's a one-stop though for this one, Kodiak. Probably drivers coming in like between 7 and 9, I would have thought, onto the soft compound tyres, unless we have rain like we did last season, where the drivers started on the intermediate compound tyres.
They did, and that caused quite a lot of carnage, I seem to recall. But yes, they did, and so we will see what they were able to do. Looking at Non-Runner, oh, he's got a couple of cars right in front of him. One of the Mercedes he's close to us. Actually, Tina Nogarinen, who does get out of his way. Who is he catching up to? Oh, it's the other one. That's Brendan that's also come out again. So Brendan's not feeling too confident with his lap. There was a Non-Runner trying to pick up a little bit of slipstream. Oh, a bit of a lock-up then coming into turn 7. Keeps it out of the wall. Apparently,
doesn't look overly competitive, Kodiak. I think he's been distracted by the traffic. I mean, I just don't see the confidence what Non-Runner usually has.
And Wycombe's apparently suffered a screen freeze. I really hope that doesn't persist. That was the whole reason he had to retire from last season, as he had those technical difficulties. Let us hope that he doesn't continue those. And Photon, bang! He actually gets a 10th on Brendan Lee in the Sauber. Very, very nice. And oh, we got Steve is out. Oh, that's a huge moment. That is trying to.
Oh, that is. Is that turn 19?
Yes, it is. He's had a. I think he's gone wide at someone like turn 17. Maybe he's gotten unsettled at 16.
Sorry, Kodiak. It's the middle of 17 to 18, so he's got a bit wide there.
He's gone wide at 16, and he hasn't collected it and slammed it into the wall. Oh my goodness me! So he will start no higher than 4th, which is a great starting position, but that is not what he would have wanted. And that could he's not really likely to put anybody off their qualifying laps. He was hard over to the left when that incident happened. But we are watching Brendan Lee as he has started his next and final time lapse.
Wow! Half a second up, Kodiak. This is fast.
Oh my goodness me!
Half a second. He missed the apex there, but he's still going to be able to carry the speed. I'm just trying to work out where he is on the track.
That's 5 and 6. He's just gone through.
5-6. Yes, you are right. So coming up towards turn 7. After he's completed this, the castle section, this is one of the tightest parts of the track, and he rubs the wall. Whether he's been practicing that, I do not know. Very, very close again, touching the wall on the inside. Just cutting that corner a little bit, extending there. That's perfectly fine. He didn't put 2 wheels outside the line.
Whoa! Denoso!
Good job from him. So this is going to put Brendan Lee under a lot of pressure. He was 4-10 up. When's the next sector? I think it's coming up any second now, and it's not giving me a delta. So it's a little bit either. It's a little bit unknown as he gets onto this 2.2 kilometer back straight. But this is going to be quick. Brendan does not want to be starting in 5th place. That is for sure. Steve has been dropped down to P7 after drivers have completed their laps. What's he going to be able to do? It's a 39.6. It's solid, but it still keeps him 5th.
Oh
and
my!
He's just been dropped because someone's got a bit quicker. Was that
it was Sam the Bear. What a stunner! 3rd position. Good. Wow, we are seeing a totally different grid. And although pole time again by Denoso, he was pole last time out, China as well. And what a belter! But we are seeing a very different grid. There it is. Formula Danny has got that pole spot, but that was the 10th down. Then Sam LeBear, stunning effort in the Toro Rosso with Tina Nokarine in 4, Photon 5, and yeah, Brendan 6th. I think that's where he started China as well.
You may very well be right, Kodiak. I can't remember.
No,
not right. In P7. VP Steve in P8. Marcel Kiefer, decent enough from him in P9, and Fehler, his German compatriot, in P10. Then you have the likes of Carl Hamilton and Aresi, who will have the free choice of tyres outside that top 10. Will they start on the soft compound tyres and do something a little bit different? I'm not sure. Remember, a lot of these drivers did a double run as well, Kodiak. So that is going to affect them, especially in the race, come towards the end of their stint. They won't have the maximum amount of tyre grip to attack. So that might help some of the drivers behind. It is quite an easy track to overtake on as well. It's not overly difficult. 2 long DRS straights, that is just before turn 1 and turn 2 to 3.
That it is. So then, down to the grid we go. Ready or not, time is up. It's time for the 5 lights then. Here we go. Fabrizio on 1, Formula Danny on 2, 5 lights, wind them up and let them go. Let us see what can happen then. So they stream on down to turn 1. Look at that. That's LeBear and Tib getting side by side coming into turn 1. Everybody looks like they've got through it okay then. Denoso trying to start pretty well. The 2 Mercedes, that was Brendan Lee and Tina Nokarinen, have come together on the inside of turn 2. They're still side by side. That is Nokarinen on the outside. Brendan's going to have the inside for the next turn. That's going to surely give him the advantage. Oh my goodness me, there's no team orders there as Nokarinen very successfully defends his line. Oh my goodness me, that was let's try that again. That was Steve and LeBear that was streaming through side by side. Everyone is, a lot of people are changing position. What a start!
Wow, yeah, I mean, we've seen drivers super close, all the way back to P14. They're pretty much neck and neck going through the first few corners. But gosh, it's so close. Brendan and Tim do not want to be coming together too much. However, both Mercs have gained some positions, so that's quite good for them. You've got Sam LeBear. He's lost 3 positions. I wasn't actually on board with him, Kodiak, so I'm not entirely sure what happened Did he just lose that in a single corner? Or?
No, it was a series of corners that he just got out-braked. I don't think he made any particular mistake as such. It's just others were a little bit brave on the race. He seems quite cautious at the moment. Well, we will see what happens then in this 26th lap race. But already, look at that. Denoso is already out of DRS range of Formula Danny. And Formula Danny already has exceeded DRS range of Tino Nokkarinen. However, the Mercedes driver does not have the same luxury from his teammate. Brendan Lee is chasing after that. He wants that position. He wants that position now. But look at that. That's Steve in the house right behind the esports champion. He wants to get involved in that particular battle as well. And Wycombs is in the pits. Oh my goodness me. Can his race get any worse? Oh, big chunk of wing missing on the McLaren.
That is not good at all. I'm hoping it's not a screen freeze as we alluded to earlier. But like you said, I thought that Haas of Steve was going to go for a move. Gosh, he was so close. And he was catching up with Brendan Lee very quickly as well. So I'm wondering if his wings are slightly lower. I mean, you do want some high downforce on certain parts of the track, but it will absolutely kill your top end coming down that back straight. Luckily, these drivers can compensate for the lack of front wing because they are extremely talented. Coming through the Castle's section, turn P3, 4 and 5 on each other's gearboxes. I wonder if Brendan and Tim have had any discussions. They're both in the championship hunts, clearly. Tim being in P3 just marginally behind Danny. However, Brendan doesn't want to finish too far behind Danny because he knows what it's like to be beaten by Danny once over a season, and he doesn't want the same feeling again.
No, and also bearing in mind that, as I mentioned earlier, this is the next race in the F1 Esports Series qualifiers. So a lot of these drivers have had a hell of a lot of extensive practice at this track very recently. So that, again, I think is going to contribute to maybe a slight change in regard to what we're used to. Hence how Brendan Lee is still under a lot of pressure as Denoso again gets his name on the fastest lap board, and he still has managed to keep Formula Danny out of DRS range, and Brendan Lee has not managed to close in too much on Tino Nokkarinen at the moment. But when DRS starts to come into play, that could well change.
I'm pleased to see Sam Lebert's name on that fastest lap board. That means he hasn't lost any pace. He just had a couple of bad corners. So he does have a pace, I think, to contend with the podium. Time will tell, obviously. They're so close, these leaders, though. In fact, Denoso is one of the only drivers with a decent gap, apart from Lebert to non-runner. But you got Wycombs all the way down. He's almost 30 seconds behind Resi. I can't help but feel his race is pretty much over. If nothing else, he will gain experience from this race, will the Swiss driver.
We will see. As Carey and Hamilton are side by side, we can quite see that when we cut to the camera shot. The Ferrari had got the move up.
So you might want to have a look at Lee and Tim. They are so close. They were side by side. One of the corners, Brendan Lee going for a bit of a move, almost touches the back of his teammates, but not quite. Very fair coming up into turn 16. Again, so close. If he can get on the power early, he will have a DRS. Put it in the wall. Kemp has put it in the wall. And he is just getting overtaken. Sam Lebert's overtaken him down the outside. And I think, and no, he does have wing damage on the right-hand side. Is he making a last-minute decision to come into the pits? It wouldn't surprise me if he does. Yes, he does.
My!
That's her. Oh, wow.
Yeah, you and I both kind of reacted to the same thing. With Sam Lebert getting crushed against the wall against Brendan Lee, still side by side him. The Mercedes does manage to nose ahead of the Toro Rosso, but that is by no means done. And all the while we were looking at that, Steve has shot through into third. Non-runner has also come into the pits, so it looks like Tino Nokkarinen not the only one to lose a bit of carbon fibre. There's plenty of time left in this race. You just don't know what is going to happen. Look at judging by the last round, certainly, I would not have expected, and I mean this in no disrespectful time, I would not have expected Sam Lebert to be piling this much pressure on Brendan Lee. So it just goes to show that how this track is so different. Sounds like a bit of an obvious statement. Of course it's different to China and Melbourne, but how these characteristics play to different drivers' strengths.
Absolutely. This is a first street circuit we've had, whereas although Melbourne is a street circuit, it's an open street circuit. It's like a permanent track. This is very obviously a street circuit, and you know, obviously we don't know if Sam Lebert's specialities is in street circuit racing, being able to use fine margins of the barrier and the track. Well, all that was going on, Kodiak. Photon and Kiefer pulled a move on the inside of Photon into turn 1, which was very nice indeed from a Force India driver. In fact, the Ferrari of Carrick's is piling on the pressure on the Hungarian. He is going to have DRS any minute now. In fact, he's going to overtake before the DRS zone.
It does look like it.
Very likely, and DRS is open. Who is running the lower wings? In fact, to be fair, the Sauber's not losing too much time. Can he outbrake? He's going to have a bit of a switch back, but he hasn't got the traction. So, good move by Carrick's.
Oh, we've had a change in this 3. Brendan Lee has managed to get ahead of VP Steve. We didn't see that particular move happen, but Brendan's going to be straight back under pressure by the Haas driver as they come through turn 3. Couldn't quite make anything happen, but the Mercedes has managed to get his elbows out again. He's got 2.2 seconds to close down to Formula Danny. Formula Danny is 2.3 behind Fabrizio Donoso. Donoso's having a cracker here at Baku.
Absolutely, good job from him. But off air, I was saying to Kodiak, I thought Donoso's racecraft seemed to not be on point in the first 2 rounds. However, it's really came alive. Hopefully, no commentator's curse so far in Baku. He's a perfect qualifying, and so far the perfect race. He's been able to build a gap. And in fact, so has Formula Danny to Brendan Lee, which is exactly what he wanted. In terms of a pit stop, for anyone interested, I know we're not quite at that stage yet, but we will be in a couple of laps. It's about 21 seconds.
21 seconds pit lane loss, yeah. So, as Photon and Carey have swapped position then, or looking to swap position there in 8th position. Look at that, the Ferrari is chasing that Sauber down the road. That's going to be, so we've got 2 overtakes, and there's Steve on Brendan Lee. The DRS open on the Haas. He's blasted past the Mercedes. Brendan Lee had no answer, and he knew he didn't. He's gone for the switchback. The Haas has gone a little bit wide of the exit turn 1. Can Brendan Lee throw on the inside? We've seen it do it once. Can he do it again? Oh, he really got his elbows out, but that's going to bring Sam Lebert right in there as well. The Mercedes gets back into 3rd. There goes Sam Lebert on the outside of the Haas. Oh, this could get quite ugly quite quickly. No DRS on the Haas. Can he slow it down? Impact between the Haas and the Mercedes. I think that actually went badly more for Sam Lebert. That was
Lebert's a missing wing. He's missing the right side of his front wing. That will be an early pit stop for sure. Yeah, the understeer is awful. He's going to have to come in. He's going to be losing about a second a lap through that incident. And the thing with Sam Lebert is he didn't have to be fully committed, whereas Brendan Lee was very much fully committed to to defend, only because Steve was right up his inside. So a bit of a shame for Sam Lebert.
Absolutely. But that has, of course, backed Brendan Lee away from Formula Danny. That gap, 3.2 seconds. The gap Formula Danny to Fabrizio Donoso is now 3 seconds. So the gap out front is continuing to extend. Marcel Kiefer is now, of course, right on Sam Lebert's case. It would seem, I would imagine, that the Force India is just going to blast past Sam Lebert. Sam may well even kind of jump out of the way. But of course, we're expecting, oh my goodness me, the Force India. I thought he was going to go on the outside, which would have made the pit lane entry even more difficult for Sam Lebert. But Marcel Kiefer now has gone to the inside. You can see Carey in 7th in the Ferrari, and there indeed goes the Toro Rosso into the pits. That's another lump of carbon fibre to be changed, and I wouldn't be at all surprised if that isn't the last front wing we see changed here today.
No, last season this is completely off memory, but I think we only had about 10 drivers finish because of the amount of front wing changes, as Donoso just hits a wall pretty violently on the left-hand side of his car. It doesn't look like he's got any damage. In fact, he's oversteering everywhere.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
At all. Is Danny going to close in? He was 3 and a bit seconds behind. He's closed in by a couple of attempts. So Donoso did lose a little bit of time there. But like you alluded to earlier, Brendan Lee is losing quite a lot of time to Formula Danny and, of course, Donoso.
I wouldn't be at all surprised if Brendan Lee has picked up some damage. We can't see any front wing damage on that car. I wouldn't be at all surprised if there is indeed some kind of wound on that Mercedes.
Steve. Sorry, Kodiak, did you mention Steve has damage as well? Because Steve is also missing a lot of end plates now.
Well, yeah, I was going to say.
A second ago, but he's pretty much a plank of wood on the front of his car. Luckily, lap 7 is an optimal time to come into the pits, so it's not the end of the world. Now, he's got to be careful here. He doesn't want to understeer to the outside of the wall, and he should be okay. That's the thing with losing some of your front wing. Is he not coming?
He's not coming in.
That's very strange.
That's risky. I think that is very risky. But I mean, although from the outside it doesn't look like he's lost too much, but when you jump down, he's quite clearly lost quite a few bits of carbon fibre on the front of that car. So let us then check in with where everybody is. Donoso in the house leads from pole by just shy of 3 seconds ahead of this man, season 14 F1 champion for Veloci at Formula Danny. It's gained another 10th on him on Donoso that time around, but still a long way to go. Brendan Lee, man that needs little introduction, continues, but he's losing time against the pair ahead of him. We will see what he has to say about that at the end of the race. Of course, we do get to speak to him. Wycombs is in the pits again. Oh, will he ever get a break? VP Steve. Again? Oh, goodness me.
On the right-hand side.
Oh, I'm hoping that he hasn't got continued technical problems. As previously mentioned, VP Steve in the second half is losing time against Brendan Lee due to the damage on his car. Marcel Kiefer in the first of the Force Indias has got Carey in the Ferrari chasing him as they come down the hill, 13 through to 16. Veloci Photon in 7th position now with the Williams of Kyle Hamilton, the Renault of VP Max, the McLaren of Jan Fehler, and the second Ferrari of Resi 91, all in very short succession. Tino Noccarinen finds himself a long way back after early race scuffles. He is on the soft tyres. I would imagine he's going to try and get those to the end. It is possible, but I imagine those tyres will be pretty shredded by the end of the race. But we will see what he can do as a Carey comes into the pits from 6th position. Oh, he couldn't slow it down. That's going to hurt. Jan Fehler also comes in the McLaren. So one of the McLarens at least is having an okay day.
Yeah, to be honest, I'm surprised Tim was able to slow it down when he came. Did you see him come into the pits, Kodiak?
I don't think we did.
Oh, because I was on board with him at the time. He had no front wing, and his car wouldn't really turn in. So he ended up coming in to the pit so fast, probably at normal speed, but because of the lack of downforce, he pretty much just understeered into that kink which you get in the pits here, because it's not just a straight line straight into pits like Monza, for example. There's a bit of a couple of little corners to negotiate before you can officially be in the pit, and he actually lost a bit of front wing coming into the pit as well as beforehand as well.
Well, it's probably that managed to slow him down in time for the line, just that extra bit of friction against what front wing to wall. We're looking at this 4-car train behind Veloci Danny at the moment. As previously mentioned, they are very short succession. Tino Noccarinen now, after Carey's pit stop, finds himself some company down there in 11th. We saw Sam Lebert get his name on the fastest lap also. The soft tyres are working well on those that have chosen now to get on them, but of course it is going to be how long they can keep them at that kind of level 4. And look at that, we are seeing that VP Max, I believe it is.
All leaders are in.
All three at the same time, the top three
at the same time. And Brendan Lee was closing quickly. Marcel Kiefer is in as well. Who else is coming in? Oh wow, the Renault of
Max.
If I can find Max is trying to move. Wow, and Photon and Kyle Hamilton got very close indeed there. Did one of them come? No, I don't know. They haven't pitted. They just came extremely close in the first corner.
So the top three come out back in their original position. But look at this. On board with Brendan Lee. He has closed in quite considerably on Formula Danny. Was 3 seconds or thereabouts. 1.1 now separating the Sauber and the Mercedes. 3.3 separates Formula Danny to Donoso. So that gap has extended a little. But Brendan Lee is really pushing hard to get the heat into those tyres as quickly as he can. He wants to pressure for the lead, and VP Steve is back up in the lead. So I'm stunned he hasn't come in. Really am, unless of course we're seeing things slightly differently to how the driver's actually feeling it. But we saw him bounce off the wall. We saw a bit of carbon fibre come off his car, so there's definitely damage there. Let's jump back to this battle here. So that's Photon, Hamilton and Aresi. There they are, battling for what is now second position. Of course, we are expecting them in the pits. Ooh, big tank slapper there for the Ferrari. We're expecting these three to come in very, very soon, if not just in a straight line. Oh, goodness me, again, big snap of oversteer there for the Williams. Will they come in? Did Aresi go for the soft tyres to start with?
Steve is going in, coming into the pits. It doesn't look like he was dealing with that much understeer, so maybe it's just a bit of a graphical bug on our side. But we will see if he has a front wing coming out for him any second now as he enters his pit box. Yes, he does. So he has been dealing with some front wing damage. He did a good job, I must admit.
Carey gets his name on the fastest lap board, and straight away beaten again by Lebert. That's several times we've seen his name pop up. So he's really getting into the stride of those soft tyres. It's pretty much what everybody post-pit stop is going to be on. That's Wycombe's actually. We saw pit as he's been through the pits twice now already. So he's a minute down from Photon, who's just coming out of the pits. So I think that is his day now, royally ruined. Carl Hamilton is continuing on those super soft tyres. He has got to be sliding around everywhere.
Yeah, but only two drivers to not have pitted is Aresi and Hamilton. To answer your question earlier, Kodiak, yes, Aresi did start on those soft compound tyres. He started in P12. So far, seems to be working for him. If he pits now, he will come out in, I don't know, around P10-ish. So maybe P10. So it might work out okay for him. I would have thought he's going to go long, but look at that pace he's got on Carl Hamilton. I imagine if he's going to get the throttle down pretty early and just fly past him, maybe even on these on these twists and turns of 16 through to 20. He is going to want to wait for the DRS detection, which is, well, they literally only just passed it on the turn of turn 20.
DRS for the Ferrari.
It looks, yes, the Williams is coming into the pits as Aresi continues for, I imagine, quite an extra number of laps. Hamilton has a 5-second stop-go penalty as well.
Couldn't slow it down quick enough, but Brendan was in DRS range just narrowly of Formula Danny, but didn't gain very much. Now, this would support the theory that he has got irreparable damage on that Mercedes, but he is pressing on nonetheless. DRS open once more, and he's barely gaining on Formula Danny. Formula Danny, of course, doesn't have DRS, so as Fabrizio Donoso is 3.5 seconds down the road. So that's going to be one to keep an eye on. He has closed in a little because they just had DRS between turns 2 and 3, but it does look like Formula Danny might well be able to fend off his main championship rival, but still a long way to go. We're not even halfway through this race.
Yeah, absolutely. It is actually, although I say how it's quite easy to overtake around this track, it's only easy if you have the top end speed. So if you're not actually able to close in during the straight, it's actually quite a difficult track to overtake because it's fairly narrow. You can, try maybe a move down the inside, a bit of a dive bomb, so to speak. So is that might be Brendan's only hope. In fact, Danny does seem to have very good pace. The thing I just wanted to mention for those of you who didn't notice, Carl Hamilton did get that penalty, but he served it straight away. I think someone else got the same penalty as well for speeding in the pit lane. Unlike in real life, it updates instantly, so if you have a speeding in the pit lane penalty, you will serve it at that particular pit stop. Brendan Lee setting the fastest lap of a 42.4 as well.
Sam LeBear going side by side with non-runner. Is the Red Bull coming in yet? So non-runner did actually opt to come in, although Sam LeBear was already making that move, and Steve is now taking that fastest lap. We just saw Formula Danny and Brendan Lee set that in short succession, and now I'm quite glad we're seeing different names appearing on the fastest lap board. That makes me smile. It means we're not just going to have one person constantly running away with all the honours. Although Aresi currently leads 1.2 seconds is the gap between himself and Donoso. Of course, if Aresi and Donoso start fighting, that's going to help Formula Danny close in on the top spot as well. And that is, you just saw Tino Nokarinen 3.1 seconds further down the road. There he is. You just seen him go out of the shot. So he's not too far down the road. And Brendan is ever so slightly closing in on the Sauber ahead of him.
Yeah, Nukarinen almost beached it at turn 7. I think he did lose a little bit of time. Not too bad. However, I do think he's doing pretty well in P7, considering he had to change his front wing very early on. So good job from him to get himself up the pecking order and back to net P6 once Aresi has pitted. And we have Donoso right behind the Ferrari. I doubt the Ferrari will be coming in this lap. So Donoso is trying to move on the inside, which could be dangerous if he did want to come into the pits. Luckily, he doesn't. DRS wide open. And that's a fairly simple move. Yeah, it looks like Aresi did brake very early indeed as well.
Brendan,
look how close Brendan is.
Yeah, Brendan gets his name on the fastest lap board with a bit of slipstream. Oh, he's gone very deep into turn 2. That's going to cost him a couple of tenths. And look at that, he was right with Formula Danny, and that has cost at least 3 or 4 tenths on the back of the Sauber. Oh, that was a... Oh, no! As we saw a few drivers do that in real life, just disappeared down that escape road. And oh, crikey, he nearly clouted the wall. Actually trying to recover from. He's now got Carey straight on his case. Formula Danny is not going well for him so far.
Yeah, I mean, that's so odd. It didn't look like Danny was particularly pushing either. It didn't look... It looked like he sort of just glided into the... Yeah. into the runoff. He's up and running now, but boy, that cost him 6 seconds. Also, Brendan Lee is closing in on our leader, Denos. Oh no, I'm reading it wrong. No, I'm not. No, he's actually closing in on our leader, Denoso. He's only 4 seconds behind. He was 6.5 as they all came into the pit. So good job from Brendan Lee, and he can actually see Denoso just coming up to as he is driving towards turn 16.
Eyes on the prize once again then for the current championship leader as he comes through the 16 through to 20 complex. He has got to close in on Aresi. Those tyres are looking like they're pretty second hand on the Ferrari now, so he may not be able to keep the Mercedes behind for too long. And that is what it looks like from Carey's perspective, although the second Ferrari has not been able to close in a great deal on Formula Danny. With a bit of DRS, has closed the gap in a few tenths, because DRS is very, very powerful along that very long straight. So we'll see if Formula Danny is able to start to rebuild. Oh, big tank slapper there for the Ferrari. Carey kept it out of the wall, very nicely done. Marcel Kiefer in the Force India, there he is. He's closing in on the pair, certainly as they're beginning to fight. And big lockup there by Formula Danny. He's not enjoying the best of that car, it looks like. As whoops, I would see several people get really tail happy on the exit of that turn 4, so I wouldn't be at all surprised if someone's going to make a big mistake and throw it into the wall there.
Yeah, we're seeing a great battle. It looks like the Williams accountant's got out. I was just going to say, damn, we should have focused on Forton and Carl Hamilton, because Carl Hamilton just ran over the curb and beached it in the wall, which was turn 5, I think, Kodiak. So that is well, not good at all.
Wall 1, Williams nil.
Yeah, absolutely. They were battling for quite a number of corners beforehand, I must say. Someone in chat was asking about penalty penalties. Currently, no drivers have any time penalties, although we have seen 2 drivers get pit speeding penalties, but they have already served it, so it counts it out. So currently, no penalties for the drivers.
Aresi has chosen to pit, so he started on those yellow mark soft tyres, making it to lap 16. So he is looking to ditch those out. He's going to release Brendan Lee, 3.9 seconds. And Tino Nocarina has also come in, because he had to pit early for a fresh front wing on that Mercedes. So hopefully he's going to be able to close in the remaining 11 laps. Donoso, he hasn't got a great deal of gap. One mistake, exactly as we've seen already, is going to be ever so costly. But of course, as I mentioned before, they have had a lot of practice, these drivers on this particular track. They could pretty much count how many elements there are in the tarmac they've run over it that many times. But we've seen how well Brendan Lee can close a gap down. If anybody can do it, it is that man in the Mercedes.
Absolutely. Another thing that plays a big factor here is fuel. Because of the nature and the high speed nature of this track, fuel, being able to run in rich for longer is a pretty major advantage. At the moment, Brendan Lee has about an extra...
just shy of a lap.
Yeah, just shy of a lap of fuel. Then you have Donoso, who is about, well, roughly half a lap of fuel. So Brendan has a small advantage, and he is closing up again. He's gained an extra 2 tenths so far in this lap. So Donoso is going to feel the pressure. He knows he has the speed. He's a very quick driver. All he really needs to do now for the next 10 laps is not cruise, but keep his head down, not make any mistakes, do exactly what he's currently doing, and he'll be fine.
Indeed, but it's easy for us to say that from us. When you're in the driver's seat, when you've got that adrenaline going, you've got someone the caliber of Brendan Lee behind you, as Sam Lebert comes into the pitch from 7th. It's so easy just to take your concentration away, lose sight of the prize for that very split second, and Baku will not forgive a mistake, exactly as we've seen countless times at this circuit. It is so easy just to throw away a potential race-winning position, and the Donoso's had a fairly decent start to this season, and to get a win over someone like Brendan Lee is no small feat at all. And again, we're seeing that gap between the Mercedes and the Force India continue to fall, but between the Mercedes and the Haas, that gap is continuing to fall, but I don't think it's falling quick enough. Brendan's going to have to rely on a mistake, or he's really going to have to floor it. But if we're thinking he's got a little bit of damage to that car, he may be pushing for all he's worth already.
Yeah, absolutely. The one thing I'm wondering if Donoso's thinking now is Abu Dhabi last year on the esports. Remember how close these two were then. The pressure is pretty immense. We haven't seen too many battles from these top 2 drivers, so it will be quite exciting to see Donoso and Brendan Lee go head to head. If only we could chuck Danny into the mix, but I think that's quite unlikely now. We have got Marcel Kiefer and Carey pretty close to each other. Marcel Kiefer with DRS nowhere near close enough to the Ferrari, unless he tries something completely unbelievable.
That would be suicide from that range.
That would be, yeah. He would have literally had to not brake for the corner. And those two are actually catching up, I think, on Formula Danny. I wonder if Danny's carrying damage. It doesn't look like it, no. In fact, none of these drivers are carrying damage, by the looks of it anyway. But that's for a podium, so that's a pretty big deal, with Tim getting a fastest lap as well. He's in P11. Well, he'll probably be able to get P10. I think Aresi will be too far up the grid for him, though.
We will see, though. We will see. Look at this. Marcel Kiefer has already closed that gap right down to Carey then. He's not going to be able to do much with it through 7 up to 12. But on that run down the hill, it does look like that. Oops! As just I say that. Oh! Dear, oh dear, steady on, Marcel. Those barriers are already yellow. You don't need to add your yellow marked tyre paint to those walls as well. Look how much time that cost him. And I think that was just tyre wall. I don't think he lost any element of wing. Oh dear, look at the loss of grip Carey had coming out of turn 16. That just really, out 15, beg your pardon. He just totally lost all that momentum, and that's given the advantage back to Marcel Kiefer.
Yeah, that's the thing with this track, is if you do lose a bit of momentum, especially turn 16, it really does kill your top end down this straight, because it is so long. A tenth of a second just adds up and adds up and adds up, and you only really start to equalise it out as you come towards the end of the straight, which is a bit of a disappointment. Do you see how late Marcel Kiefer was able to go on the brakes there? Good job from him. He's going to be in a really strong position. Carey went a little bit wide there as well. Marcel Kiefer took a very nice line indeed. Is he going to duck on the inside of the Ferrari? He's thinking about it, not quite. Carey's gone straight toward Perez. But he's lost a wing as well. He's coming into a pit. That's allowed Steve to come through, and gosh, he almost oversteered like Roman Grosjean style into the wall. Wow.
Oh, Sam Lebert. Oh, we've lost Lebert. Oh, he's retired. He's actually retired his car in the pit lane. What a shame. What a great shame. He got that 5-second penalty. He has opted to retire his car. That is the end of his race. Oh, that is such a shame that his race was rather mixed, but he was really showing some impressive pace, and that has sadly come to an end. We are looking at Aresi and VP Max. They've been locked in battle for a while. It's the closest battle we have on the field at the moment, although I'm keeping an eye on the time between Brendan Lee and Donoso. That is now under 3 seconds, but that is going to have to drop quicker than that for Brendan to challenge for the lead. Not too far up the road is Jan Fehler in the next McLaren, so there's battling to be had still on the field. Oh, as they always makes me wince as they come through turn 15. I always kind of think, oh, they're going to throw it into the wall. Of course not. These guys know exactly how much traction they have. The super soft shod Ferrari, it looks like he's going to blast past the soft shod Renault, but we will see as they come on to the start finish straight once again.
Yeah, although you're saying Brendan isn't closing in quick enough on Donoso, it does. Oh, I think it's going to be so close, Kodiak. It's about 2.5 tenths a lap at the moment, quarter of a second.
Oh,
so.
Oh, sorry, Hamish. That was a lovely outside manoeuvre. Aresi on. That was VP Max. That's for 7th position. Oh, can he hang on to it? Bit of oversteer. He's already jumped to the inside line to try and defend it from the charging Renault, and he has resumed the racing line. So that is going to continue. And nicely done there. He really had to work for that, but fair play for the defensive move by VP Max. But the PS4 legend now goes through into 7th, and he's got Jan Fehler 2.2 ahead and 7 laps to close him down.
Yeah, another solid race so far from Aresi. He's really shown his talent, which is good to see. Last time out, he obviously got that very good result of 4th. Before that, he was 14th. So I think he's definitely a driver to look out for. Brendan hasn't actually closed in Donoso this lap. I was saying how he's been closing in by about a quarter of a second each lap, but this lap the gap has remained exactly the same. I must admit I am rooting for Donoso on this particular one.
Oh, sorry, Hamish! Sorry to cut you off. Timp and Photon side by side coming into 15. Oh my goodness me! That was brave by Tino Nogarina, but brilliantly defended by the FG champion of Photon in the Sauber. Oh my goodness me! That took some bravery to try a move at that section. Wow, it didn't come off, but now it's going to be under DRS. 14 and Nogarinen, the fastest lap holder, as DRS is open on the Mercedes. Is he going to do it? He's gaining. Photon chooses not to defend the inside line. That is going to be job done for the Mercedes. Yes, it is. Tino moves up into 9th position.
Yeah, to be fair, Tim has got those fairly fresh, super soft compound tyres. Next up the road is Max. 6 seconds, is that too much to ask for? Time will tell, but well, he's got 5 laps to do it, so we will see. Brendan Lee has gained 3 tenths so far on this lap, so that's not too bad. And he now has a pretty solid visual on Donoso as well, so That's going to give him a little bit more incentive to, well, if he wasn't trying, he definitely is now coming up towards turn 16.
It all serves as extra practice for the Baku race. So Brendan is already actually through the qualifiers. He need not practice it for that particular reason, but he wants that championship here in AOR nonetheless. We saw that was Aresi we saw on the other side. Oh, sorry, that would be Carey we saw on the other side of the barrier just then. He is pressing on at 2.6 seconds. Now, was that 5 laps in which to do it? It's doable. I think he still needs a bit of luck in his hand to be able to do it, but it's certainly possible. Just seeing the house go through the shot then. Aresi is not too far off the back of Jan Fehler either, looking further down the field. There's the view from the Ferrari. Just about see the McLaren ahead. But not a bad effort by Fehler. He's kept himself out of trouble for the latter half of the race. Finds himself in 6th position. Decent haul of points from the McLaren team.
Absolutely. So far, Fehler has only finished P12 and 13. I say only. That's still very solid in split in BF1 split in AOR. But to be able to get the 8 points is going to be really good for Fehler. And yeah, I think Aresi has the pace on him. He seems just to be consistently quick so far today. And gosh, look how fast Timp is closing in as well.
Yeah, that's a super soft shot. Mercedes, he's really dispatched off Photon. He's got 4.3 to close down to the Renault of VP Max. There could well be more points in the offing for the second Mercedes. 2.2 now is the gap up front though. Brendan is on a charge. Has he left it too late? He is doing what he can to close that gap down as they come around the last few bits to begin lap 23. Closing stages of the race. I've said before, if anybody can do it, Brendan is the man to try it.
Absolutely, he's such a quick driver. We see time and time again his pace. Although over the last couple of rounds we haven't seen his ultimate quali pace, his racecraft and his race pace is impeccable. He's one of the, I'd say he's one of the toughest drivers to race against. He seems to be super aggressive, but he tends not to go over the limit, but he's on the limit, and the drivers know that, and Donoso will know that if
Fehler and Aresi, that's very close. Oh, well defended there by the McLaren. Still got the inside line for 2. Sorry again, Hamish. I'm forever cutting you off every week. Every week, I wholeheartedly apologise. Aresi trying a great outside manoeuvre on turn 1 and 2. Didn't quite come off. Jan Fehler again defending the inside line, coming into 3. DRS open on the Ferrari, and again well defended by Jan Fehler in the McLaren. Holds on to 6th position. He's just got to keep it clean through these twisty bits. But that's a lot of pressure to fend off in the background. You just saw there VP Max and the Renault. He's not unassailable if these two slow each other down. And there is the Renault. You never know, he could get involved in this battle as well.
Yeah, Max will definitely be hoping for that. I remember when I was driving and you saw drivers battling ahead. That always is extra incentive to really start to push. Max is such a quick driver. I mean, last season we saw how good he was in the midfield, sort of constantly able to get the 5th, 6th, 7th places. And he's showing that consistency and speed again today. I can't help but feel that Aresi's going to make the move on Fehler pretty damn soon. The only thing is, in Fehler's advantage, the longer he can keep Aresi behind him, the quicker his tyres will go off, because Fehler's tyres are currently slower than Aresi, but come probably lap 25, maybe even the last lap, it will be the other way round. It will be the soft compound tyres of Fehler, which will be a bit quicker. The Ferrari is trying to move on the outside. Good God, that was so close to the wall by Fehler. And wow, that was smooth. That was really good stuff indeed. Fehler isn't coming back at the Ferrari, and that looks like it's moved. That is position lost from Fehler, unfortunately.
It does look like it. One, and we've got yellow flag in sector 2. Yeah, I've just seen that. 1.5. There's a yellow flag coming up in Sector 2. Not entirely sure who that is. Kind of where we're coming at. Well, we're in Sector 2 at the moment with these two. So who's stuck at Sector 2, I wonder? Can't see anybody that's out of position. No one has lost a position at the moment, so I'm not sure what that yellow flag is for. But yeah, 1.5, just under, separates Brendan Lee and Fabrizio Donoso. That is not done. That battle is still raging on. He has closed in the gap enough to start to become a real threat for that lead.
So we still got the yellow flags in Sector 2. I'm pretty sure I saw some debris on the edge of turn 8. Whether someone lost some front wing, I'm not sure. It doesn't look like it's... no, it definitely isn't the front 2, though. I can assure you that now. So maybe it might be Carey or
we've lost Wycombs. We have lost the McLaren. Oh! His bot is having a real hard time deciding what to do. And we shan't torment him even further by watching that one. The McLaren AI, very artificial there, and not knowing what to do. I'm not actually sure where that happened, as we couldn't tell. We were staring at the wall. 1.3 now, 2 laps to go. The lead is really under threat by the Mercedes of Brendan Lee. 1.2 as they've just come through turn 4. Down to 5 and 6 once again. Donoso, who's had the lead all race long with the exception of pit stops, is now under very serious threat once more by that Mercedes. Now up the hill once again. That gap is ever decreasing. I wonder whether, you said earlier, Hamish, you saw some debris on the track. I wonder whether it's the Haas, because his pace has just vanished.
Yeah,
the elements look like they were there on the front wing of the Haas, but his pace is just gone.
Yeah, but it doesn't look like he's missing any front wing. The only thing I can think of is that psychologically, when you've got that pressure from behind, especially from one of the top drivers, it seriously slows you down. I know in from when I did some stuff in Project Cars for Season 6, when I had a driver behind me, honestly, your pace just dropped off a cliff. And I think that might be what Donoso is experiencing now. He's got one lap to defend Brendan Lee. Brendan does have the advantage of the DRS is before the start-finish line. So if Brendan is able to close in to within a couple of tenths of Donoso, then he's got a serious chance of being able to make a move. I don't think he has a DRS.
No, he's just outside of DRS range by less than a tenth. This man, however, does. It's Tino Norcarino once again in the other Mercedes. He's got the DRS open on the Renault. He's not gaining by much. VP Max has stayed on the inside. He's gone for an outbraking maneuver. He's gone deep into turn 1. Oh, big clunk there between the two cars. He's kept his foot in it, though. Can he do it around the outside of 2? No, that's well defended by the Renault. But he's going to have DRS once again on the way down to turn 3. It's not done yet for Tino Norcarino, and he's nailed to the back of that Renault. Is he going to throw it on the inside? No, VP Max has defended the inside. He's going to go for an outside maneuver around 3. Oh, that's very close to the wall. He's going to have the inside of 4. Can he get it done this time? Yes, he can. Tino Norcarino, after 4 turns and a lot of DRS, has gone up into 8th place. There is life in that dog yet. Half a second, though, is the lead gap as we are approaching the checkered flag. That's down to 16. It's exactly what you said earlier, Hamish. If he got within a few tenths, he may be in with a shot. The fuel light is very red. He's gone into rich. He's got very little fuel left. Can the Haas hold on? They are sprinting. Well, yeah, will he make it? Indeed. It is going to be DRS open on the Mercedes, but will the Haas beat him to it? The DRS is open. Who's going to get there? There's no time on the board. It's Donoso by 1.5 tenths. The Haas has done it. I think Brendan Lee realised he wasn't going to gain. That's what that wiggle was for. Formula Danny does round out the podium. We haven't seen him for a while. He finished 8.4 down from Brendan Lee in the end. Marcel Kiefer comes home in 4th in the Force India. VP Steve.
VP Max and Steve, this is close. This is Tim and VP Max. Look how close this is. Renault on the back of a Merc.
This is right.
Pace. Yeah, if he
Can
has
he do
a
it?
few more meters,
Oh!
it's not quite. That is so close.
What again? That was 79 thousandths. That was even closer than the lead one. So just, oh, goodness me, half a car length was all the Renault wanted there. Veloci Photon, after early promise in this race, comes home to take the final point. Non-runner in the Red Bull is in 11th, and Carre, the final finisher, in 12th in the Ferrari. Goodness me, what a finish!
Wow, it's so close. In fact, Formula Danny, he actually started to gain a bit of time on the leaders. He'd just be thinking what could have been. Yeah, he was ahead of Brendan Lee by, you know, a couple of seconds until his mistake. He could have very well have won this race, but Donoso's first AOR PC win. What a performance from him. He's outstanding qualifying this week and last week, and outstanding in the race as well. He didn't put a foot wrong. He managed to fuel just perfectly, only just. And he was very good indeed. So close. And there are the final confirmation then. I inadvertently took away your qualifying rundown, Hamish, so please take it away. So, Donoso, he P1. What a race result from him. Brendan Lee in P2, Formula Danny in P3, Marcel Kiefer in P4. Good result for Force India, guys. VP Steve in P5, Aresi the lead Ferrari in P6, Failer in P7. We have who's in the Merc, Timp in P8, VP Max in P9, and Photon in P10. Then you have non-runner Carrick's, Wycom's the first of the DNFs, Sam LeBear, and the other driver who would have been in the Williams, who I'm trying to work out who
Car Hamilton
would have been. It would have been Car Hamilton, yeah. Shame for those three drivers. Wycom's not entirely sure what his reasons for retiring was, but he's had a pretty dreadful weekend.
Pretty dismal race for him.
One to forget.
Right, we've got some drivers waiting to talk to us. So we have Timp, Donoso, Formula Danny, and Marcel Kiefer. There's not actually many on Discord this time for some reason, but let's grab them over and interrupt their conversation as we tend to do.
Oh my god!
Oh, there we go. Yeah, we've managed to interrupt the conversation. I'm trying to grab. Why aren't they dragging across? There we go. Right, we have got everybody in here. Right, who to speak to first of all? Actually, I tell you who I'm going to speak to first of all. I'm going to speak to Marcel Kiefer, Force India, coming home in 4th. We didn't get to see a great deal of you. There was quite a lot of battling going on elsewhere, but you rather kind of just carried on, got your head down, 9th to 4th. How was that one for you?
It was good, but I wanted to recreate the actual Grand Prix and come home on P3, so I will take it. I'm happy because this is probably one of my worst tracks. It was this week the first time that I drove it, and I couldn't find a pace, so P4 is quite decent for that. Congratulations to Fabrizio, he did a really good job. I just looked at the minimap the whole time at the end and was spectating him and Brandon battling it out to the line. But yeah, I'm happy with that, and yeah.
Tino Norkarinen. One, I hope I'm getting your name right, because that's what I've been calling you all night. And what on... we appreciate the fact that you've come to talk to us. It's been a rather mixed night for you. You had a stunning closing section of the race. What on earth happened, sir?
Well, I don't know. I just went a bit wide into turn 16, and the curb just like... next thing what I see, I'm on the wall, and yeah, and my front wing is like purple, not purple, like orange, and yeah, but yeah, still kind of decent result, like P8 after those like things what happened in the race. I don't know, I can't really be happy, but yeah, good recovery drive. Well,
it's still all points. It's the long way to go in the season yet.
And fastest lap.
Yes, oh, very much so. It was great to see some of your moves towards the end. Formula Danny, well, what might have been for you? I mean, it's still coming home in 3rd. It's still a respectable result nonetheless, but we kind of saw you lose a bit of pace towards the end of the race. What happened?
Yeah, first of all, I would like to congratulate to our race winner and congratulate to Brandon Lee, because when he overtook the 4th, he had like a 7 seconds disadvantage to Fabrizio Donoso, and he amazingly closed that gap down to only 1/10, which is absolutely amazing, and well done to him as well. Speaking of my pace, I don't know what happened today. I still don't know if these are just the lack of balls and, you know, the braveness in these very tight corners, or maybe I was just out of confidence and out of rhythm as well, because in these tracks, not like in real life, the curbs are very, very, very high, and if you miss the apex, you lose a lot of time, but if you hit the curbs inside, you lose a lot of time as well. And when you are not in the rhythm, you can just go accurately, and I was in this situation, unfortunately. I think it was my messiest race ever in the AOR history since I participated in this league, because sometimes I missed the apex, sometimes I locked my outside tire, sometimes I just hit the curb on the inside, and Brandon was faster than me. He put me under pressure, and I tried to brake like very, very late, and I looked up, and I think my car could have turned in, but since the damage is on, it's full, so I didn't want to risk seeing the gap behind Brandon, so I went to reverse gear, and I lost 7 seconds there. So yeah, it wasn't ideal at all. After, I just wanted to keep Marcel Kiefer behind and get my car home to the 3rd position. I think if I didn't make the mistake, nothing else would have happened. Brandon could have passed me easily because he was faster in this race, I have to admit, and Fabrizio was faster than me as well, so I think I came home in the position that I deserved. So again, congratulations to all, and again, I spoke like 5 minutes.
Great stuff, great stuff. And finally, well, Mr. Donoso, after having a disastrous last season, we keep coming back to this, but it just goes to show just how far you've come in, well, only really a few months, from not picking up any points at all to scoring points in all 3 races you've been in and taking the top spot of the podium barely. Were you aware of... Were you thinking, oh, well, this is going to be close, or was how quickly Brendan closed you down a bit of a surprise to you towards the end?
Good evening, first of all. As you said, this is my first win of the season, but actually this is my first win of any hour season that I made. So very happy with the result, and yeah, I had the very good start. Pulled a 3-second gap to Danny. Then the pace was very consistent, and towards the end of the race, I didn't have more fuel like in Abu Dhabi in the final, so I knew that Brandon would come very close, but I didn't expect as close as that. So yeah, good amount of pressure in the last 3 laps, I think, where it was very close, and picking up the win at the end. So yeah, very happy.
Great stuff, and that is going to wrap it up for this evening. Next time out, it is Bahrain, a very different track again, but I look forward to it nonetheless. Thank you very much to those that have been with us throughout the stream. It is always a great pleasure to commentate for you guys. Thank you very much to, of course, our sponsor, Hype Energy, for being with us on board, and of course to our other sponsors, including Elgato. Thank you very much, Hamish, for being in the commentary box with me. It's always a great pleasure, sir.
No worries. Fantastic racing, so pleasure to commentate.
Absolutely. Thank you to our drivers for once again putting on an incredible show. And we will see you happy people back here again for more AOR action. Thank you very much, and good night.